Hello, everyone. Welcome to our session, Empowering Neurodivergent Employees with Copilot. My name's Angela Byers, a Microsoft 365 Copilot product marketing leader, a member of our Disability Employee Resource Group in marketing, and a people leader passionate about making the best place for every team member to work. Over the next 45 minutes, I'd like to first talk to you about the imperative and opportunity of leveraging Copilot to help create equity for neurodivergent individuals in the workplace. I'm also going to introduce Microsoft's inclusive product building and design. Then Kayla Patterson on my team is going to demo a day in her life, show you how Copilot transforms how she manages tasks and her focus to help her thrive. Then I'm honored to host a panel with Jenny Lay-Flurrie, Microsoft Chief Accessibility Officer, and Tara Roth, Corporate Vice President for Microsoft 365 and Copilot Customer Success Engineering on this topic. We hope that whether you are a neurodivergent employee or a manager and advocate or an IT professional and developer creating AI products or even an HR professional, that you will learn something to action on from this session. AI technology has the power to amplify human potential and extend our capabilities so every person can achieve more. More so than any other technology, generative AI levels the playing field. Whether it is for that student in South Africa that now can get a personalized tutor to learn algebra in the form of a generative AI chat interface, or that farmer in India who can use chat interface to access government program despite only speaking a local dialect. We have a similar impactful opportunity here with the neurodivergent population. First, a bit of context setting. Neurodivergence consists of a range of neurologic conditions, top ones being dyslexia, ADHD, and autism. But it also includes many others, even some forms of mental health disorders. It is estimated that 1 in 5 to 1 in 7 populations are neurodivergent. Now, the numbers tend to skew higher in the technology industry, and many individuals don't self-identify. But the chances are you and I are all working with neurodivergent colleagues. Neurodivergence means having a different neurocognitive profile with both strengths and challenges. Our neurodivergent coworkers tend to struggle with executive functions like time management or communications. They may also need some support in empathizing with neurotypical employees. Well, frankly, vice versa, because our lived experiences are just so different. On the other hand, neurodivergent employees tend to be great at accomplishing detailed tasks, executing technical and analytical projects, and having excellent memory. Those with autism not only have exceptional memory, but they tend to be really great at fine detail processing. Those with ADHD bring a huge amount of energy and creativity and hyperfocus. And dyslexia is often linked with high visual abilities and creativity. The bottom line is that because neurodivergent employees are wired differently from neurotypical employees, they bring different perspectives to the table to help us see value in a new way and to even create new value. Nonetheless, it seems that this remains an undertapped talent pool. Amongst population with autism and more severe disorders, it is estimated that up to 80% are unemployed or underemployed. Now, the figure for neurodivergent is probably a lot lower, but the imperative remains. We have to tap into this talent pool more fully, not only because we still have persistent skills gap in the industry, and we know the data have shown us that organizational performance improves with diversity employees. Now, specifically to neurodivergence, studies have shown that in some roles, teams with neurodivergent employees can be 30% more productive than teams without. Inclusion and integration of neurodivergent employees also boosts team morale. And other studies have cited benefits of more innovation, better decision-making, and risk reduction. At Microsoft, we build accessibility into the core of every product, and Microsoft 365 Copilot is no different. We built it with the Microsoft Inclusive Design Practice, a methodology that enables and draws upon the full range of human diversity to create products and services that are beneficial and accessible to everyone. In addition, the Microsoft 365 and Copilot engineering organization has a unique Inclusive Product Accelerator initiative aimed to speed up the delivery of inclusive scenarios and features. Jenny and Tara, executive sponsors of these initiatives, will speak more to them during our panel. What excites me even more is that Microsoft 365 Copilot, as a tool in itself, meets every neurodivergent person where they're at. This is a quote from our colleague Christina, who I think is online answering questions. We've seen and heard similar sentiments amongst the broader ND community. Some of their favorite use cases: using Copilot to break down complex tasks into simpler, manageable steps, or using Copilot to keep up with meetings so they can more fully engage in a conversation, using Copilot to help with social scripts, difficult conversations, and communication coaching. Some even love to just dump their ideas and thoughts into Copilot, who can then organize their thoughts and prioritize their ideas for them. Some employees even use it to write their own performance evaluation. We call it Connect at Microsoft, to help them overcome the imposter syndrome. We recently did a study on how Copilot and Outlook can impact mental health. Now, not specifically to the neurodivergent population, the benefits addressed the areas that neurodivergent employees tend to need support on. After using Copilot for about a month, users reported significant improvement in their mental health with increased confidence and productivity. The most used feature: summarizing long email threads, which help users feel more in control and less stressed. Other popular features: drafting emails with Copilot, that help reduce anxiety and procrastination. And the coaching feature provided valuable feedback, really helping to increase the user's communication effectiveness. Another study we did is Copilot and Word. The study showed that Copilot and Word significantly help neurodivergent individuals with organizing their thoughts, helping them manage task initiation, and increasing their communication effectiveness. Their top use cases: using Copilot to start drafting and brainstorming, rewording and adjusting tones, making communications more concise. And I love this one: using Copilot to ask questions of the intentions and actions from a document. Well, seeing is better than 1,000 words. At this point, I would love to invite my team member, Kayla Patterson, on stage to show you some of the day in her life. Hey, Kayla, here you go.
Hey, I'm Kayla, and I'm really thrilled to be here today. I am a product marketing manager for Microsoft 365 Copilot and the learning lead for the Disability in Marketing ERG. As a marketing professional with ADHD, I've learned to embrace the creative chaos that comes with my neurotype. But it also brings unique challenges. Before Copilot, managing my tasks and maintaining focus, it felt like an uphill battle. And if I'm being really transparent, it often still does. But now I have a trusty sidekick in Copilot, helping me to stay on top of my work, tell compelling stories, and connect with people in more meaningful ways. Today, I'm excited to show you a few ways in which Copilot transforms my workflow and empowers neurodivergent folks like me to thrive. While this is unique to me, if you've met one neurodivergent person, you've met one neurodivergent person. And far from all inclusive, believe me, I've got neurodivergent friendly prompts for days. I have a feeling some of you might see yourself in some of these scenarios. I'll show how I use Copilot to reflect on and process meeting discussions, prepare for uncomfortable conversations, overcome the debilitating combo that is perfectionism and procrastination that tends to accompany a blank page, and communicate more confidently, especially when anxiety and rejection sensitivity come around. We'll start with everyone's favorite part of the workday, meetings, right? In the past, I often found myself having to choose between fully engaging in meeting discussions or being able to take notes and remember details. If you work with me, you've heard me talk about this 1,000 times. Virtual meetings present some interesting opportunities for me to figure out how to modify my environment to work with my brain rather than against it. Like many Copilot users, I've benefited immensely from being able to validate key takeaways, next steps, and important dates using meeting notes and Copilot within the Recap tab for my transcribed meetings. But what I'm about to show you has been truly game-changing for me. Let's say I led a meeting to discuss strategy for an upcoming product launch. This meeting included my manager and 2 of my teammates. After the meeting, I felt a little uncertain about how well my ideas came across, if I rambled too much, and I was especially concerned about what I believe was a well-meaning bit of constructive criticism from my manager. Luckily, I have Copilot as a coach. What I'll do is ask Copilot to provide some coaching on how I conducted this meeting. I'll let it know that I'm a product marketing manager and the marketing product lead for the product launch. My goal was to clearly communicate a progress update and field any questions or concerns from my collaborators. I can reference the meeting right here in my prompt and give Copilot the context of my role and my goals for the meeting discussion. Give Copilot just a moment here. This is how you know it's a real live demo. I'll try this one more time. There we go. Thank you, Copilot. See, I knew you could do it. So what Copilot will do here is it provides an overview of how the meeting went, including positive aspects. You'll see that I get some positive reinforcement saying, hey, this is what you did a great job on. There will be notes on areas for improvement and actionable tips. As you can see here, there's the areas for improvement. Here, there's an overview of key contributions to the meeting. What I can do next here is apply this feedback, ask follow-up questions, and even deep dive on areas that I might be concerned about. Remember earlier, I mentioned a well-meaning bit of constructive criticism from my manager? Well, I'll ask Copilot to help me understand and reframe an uncomfortable interaction. I had an emotional reaction to this feedback in the moment, and I wasn't quite sure how to respond to it. I experienced something that a lot of neurodivergent folks experience, called RSD, or rejection-sensitive dysphoria. For me, this looks like extreme discomfort triggered by either perceived or real rejection, doesn't matter, sensitivity to criticism, even when it's well-intentioned and constructive. And when this happens for me, it can really affect my focus and confidence for the rest of the day. Can anyone relate? Anyone experience this? Yeah, so it's awful. So what I like to do is use Copilot to help me reflect, reframe, and come up with solutions. The prompt I use is a brain dump of all the things I'm thinking and feeling. And this is one of the many game changers for me, using Copilot to reflect on my communications, my meetings, my interactions with my coworkers, peers, leaders, et cetera. And I'm guessing maybe it will be for some of you too. We'll give it just a moment to finish processing there. So Copilot does a really great job of first reassuring me and giving an objective interpretation of this interaction that I had with my manager. It even gives me tips for our next one-on-one and an example conversation for our next meeting. Hearing this from Copilot, it hits different than hearing it from another human. I'm not going to feel the same sting of rejection from generative AI as if those same words were coming from an actual person that I work with. Now I can move on to my next task without fixating on that discomfort all day. One of my to-dos that Copilot called out in the meeting recap was to email a colleague for help generating a report. I don't know about y'all, but when I have to send an email, whether it's an internal stakeholder on a new project or asking someone I don't know for a favor, I become a perfectionist, chasing the perfect version of the message and obsessing over context setting. What should take me minutes takes me hours. In an environment where productivity and efficiency are paramount to success, as Angela said earlier, Copilot is here to level the playing field. So here's my draft. You can see I have the recipients, the subject line, and nothing else. It's been sitting here all day. This is a colleague that I've engaged with before, and I need her guidance on the product launch. I'll give Copilot the context of my request, the goal I'm trying to accomplish, and any other details that I'd like to include. Watch as Copilot fills this blank canvas with a professional and concise first draft. Let's review the draft. Let's see. I've heard wonderful things about your expertise using the customer engagement analytics dashboard. I'm reaching out to seek your guidance. I would greatly appreciate any advice and tips you can provide. The tone of this feels a little too formal for me, so I'm going to ask Copilot to make it sound more casual. Take a look. This tone here feels a little bit more like authentically the way that I speak. So we'll keep this one. The email's ready to send, and I've slayed the procrastination dragon for the day. So those are some of the ways that I use Copilot to modify my work experience and environment to work with and embrace my neurotype. I could talk about this topic all day long if you let me. Trust me, all my coworkers will tell you. So feel free to come and find me after the session. I'm always happy to talk about it more with anyone who's interested in how the neurodivergent community in particular can get the most out of Copilot and thrive, making room for your strengths to shine. But first, we have an incredible panel to get to. And with that, I will hand it back over to Angela. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much, Kayla. I would like to invite two of the leading experts in the company, really in the industry, to talk about the challenges and opportunities of creating products that are designed to meet the full range and broad spectrum of neurodiversity, and talk about how to leverage Copilot for inclusion. So join me in welcoming Tara Roth, Corporate Vice President of Microsoft 365, Copilot and Customer Success Engineering, and Jenny Lay-Flurrie, Microsoft Chief Accessibility Officer. And I'm going to grab them some water, because we need that. Here we go.
Thank you.
Perfect. You in the middle. Well, first, let's get started. Could you introduce what you and your organization do? And Jenny, we'll start with you.
Absolutely. Hi there, Jenny Lay-Flurrie. I'm the Chief Accessibility Officer, and I sit in a division called Corporate External Legal Affairs, which is actually a quite small division in the company that focuses on things like accessibility and sustainability, privacy. And what I do is help to drive accessibility across the company with the help of many humans. And that is accessibility of our buildings, data centers, and about 5,800 products, websites, and tools. So yes, it's a fantastic, fun job.
That's amazing. Tara?
Yes, and I really enjoy being able to partner with Jenny. I lead an engineering team in the Microsoft 365 organization, and we are responsible for building features for both Microsoft 365, the suite of products, as well as the Microsoft 365 Copilot experience. So, for example, my team builds the admin center, which hopefully many of you got to see in the demos earlier today. Yeah.
It's fantastic to have you both here.
Yeah.
So first question, tell us more in your own words why neurodivergence or neurodiversity is important to you, to Microsoft, and to the leaders sitting out there in the audience. Jenny, let's start with you.
So I think there's always a work answer here, and there's a personal answer when it comes to neurodiversity, which is a relatively new term. And it's an umbrella term, as we've heard, for many different types of disability. Most of them are non-apparent. I'm a person with a disability. I'm deaf and disabled. My interpreter, Mary, is here using American Sign Language. I'm a mom. I'm a mom of 4. 2 of them are very miffed at me right now back in Seattle because the power is out.
Yeah.
And they cannot get internet and life has ended. So autism, ADD, ADHD is a part of my everyday. It's what caused us to start the autism hiring program almost 10 years ago at Microsoft. And that really was my convergence back into the workplace, which is realizing that neurodiversity is a significant part of who we are, both our employee base and our customers. And if we're going to build more inclusive, accessible products, we have to have neurodiverse talent. And I use the word talent very purposefully. So it's a part of my everyday.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Tara?
Yes, and for me, I think about it in a couple different ways. One, I should have mentioned in my earlier intro, I'm also the executive sponsor for diversity and inclusion in our division at Microsoft. And so one of the things that I'm very passionate about is kind of on 2 fronts. One, building inclusion into the product experience that we are working on, because I know that we are serving a very broad population of users around the world who have very differing needs. And so that is one of the passions that I have for this space. As well, attracting a talented set of folks in our engineering team to be able to serve that. Because if you have that perspective on your team, I think you just do a much better job at building a product that's going to serve a very varied audience that we have. So I also just think about, you just shared the stat of 20% of the workforce. I mean, in order to be able to build products that are really going to empower the world and the people around this world, you need to be able to have a very diverse set of perspectives and diverse and inclusive way that you approach the product building.
Yeah, absolutely. Prioritizing inclusion makes such a huge impact on employees and as well as the organization. I'd love to double click on the inclusive product building, Tara,
Yes.
you were just talking about.
Yeah.
Since many in the audience are IT professionals developing AI products or other technology products, could you share some best practices and lessons learned in inclusive product building and maybe some of your favorite examples?
Yeah, so let me start just a little bit. You had the slide up earlier that showed the Inclusive Product Accelerator program. That was something that a couple of years ago when I took on this D&I role, one of the things that I really wanted to focus on in addition to helping our employees was think about how we could bring inclusion into the way that we build our products. So we started this effort because I felt like there was such an amazing amount of energy in the organization when you go and sourced ideas from employees about ways that we could improve the product for people around the world. There were amazing ideas, and we had these Fix, Hack, Learn events where you'd see just these amazing ideas come forth. And so we started this program, and I sponsored it at the executive level to say, we want to build, we started out by saying, over 100 inclusive features that are noteworthy, that we can actually go and announce to the world. And so we started out with a big focus on trying to shine a light on all of those great ideas that they were there in the organization. How do we bring them forward? So that IPA program has been underway now for a couple of years. And one of the things that I have been impressed with is when you go and source these ideas from the different employee resource groups, you take like our Hispanic Latino group, or you take African American Black, or the diversity group, or sorry, the neurodivergent group, you oftentimes find an idea that you can solve for one group and then extend it, and it helps so many others when you start to really think through the scenarios. And so we've had features like Dictate. Dictate was not something that started, it's been used for way more scenarios than it started out as. It started out as helping folks who couldn't use the typical ways of interacting with the computer, like entering on the keyboard and using the mouse. And that feature has now become popular for folks that feel more comfortable just dumping their ideas in with their voice and having Copilot help then structure that. And so it's just amazing to think about the features like Dictate that have been solved for one, but it applies to so many more. Cameo and PowerPoint is another example of that was a part of that exciting effort. So.
Those are wonderful examples. I love those features as well. They're just so helpful for everyone, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jenny, you have an even broader purview outside of Microsoft 365. What are some examples you would like to share?
Well, I think maybe the red thread between us is just the importance of having neurodiverse talent in a safe and productive environment, and all across disability. We have to broaden it and remember that disability doesn't come in one shape or form. There's mobility, deaf, blind, complex disabilities, and most people acquire disability through their working career, through accident and injury, or through their kids. My kid got diagnosed, and then that epiphany of, oh, is that me too? That's happening. But as you bring that talent and expertise in, you start to see a lot more profound use cases. So, hand raise. Who uses hand raise?
In meetings?
Me, all the time. Designed by a neurodiverse engineer. Why? Wow. Didn't know how to socially interrupt a conversation. Who uses immersive reader? Anyone heard of immersive reader? That was a hackathon project focused on dyslexia, which is part of the neurodiverse umbrella, to help particularly kids to be able to read more easily. It actually helps reading rates by 10%. That's now in Minecraft. It's in every part of Office, and it's littered into Edge and anywhere we can, because we know that it's really a profound use case. So I think the more and more that we continue to innovate and we empower our talent, we bring it in, and then we really listen to that feedback and we listen to every community we have. I think we're going to continue to see more and more of these features just becoming part of our feature. These are all free as just part of the products, just sitting as available and discoverable as we can make them.
Yeah.
I want to just pile on there because it has been so amazing, this powerful voice from our employees. We call them employee resource groups at Microsoft, but that has been one of the ways we've been able to tap into all of this talent across the company. Even if they don't work on Microsoft 365, we've been able to get ideas for features from across the company because these employee resource groups are so passionate about helping, and they have such empathy for what makes it difficult to use the products as they currently stand. And so they're very excited to help us, and they give us a lot of great innovative ideas, and even in some cases help build it with these hackathons. We have hackathons at Microsoft, and it's just been wonderful as a way to tap into the talent across the company to help.
Yeah. I learned something new about the hand raise feature.
There you go.
As an introvert, I will say that's a lifesaver for me. I used to get so much feedback about, well, why don't you speak up more? But now I can use that hand raise feature to orderly get myself heard. And I think it's also created this better listening culture in meetings. We speak one at a time.
But I think that's also kind of another sort of general theme with accessibility as a whole, is that we create these features out of need, right? An individual wanted to know when was socially appropriate to interrupt a conversation and put some order and rhyme and reason behind it. That actually is amazing for me as a deaf person, because I genuinely lag about a second behind with interpreting or captioning. But isn't it great for everyone? It's kind of the same principle as like talking books. Talking books were created a long time ago. Great for the blind, designed for the blind. and we're all using Audible. So and other products exist. But I think it's that general principle, design for one, extend to many.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you both for sharing all of those great examples. It is evident that when we create products with inclusivity in mind, it really leads to more effective and innovative solutions for everyone. So now I'd love to double click into the use of AI by neurodivergent individuals from your vantage point. As you both work within Microsoft and with other customers, what are some notable success stories of using Copilot by neurodivergent individuals? And what are some key benefits? Maybe Jenny, let's start with you.
Well, can we just give a call out to Kayla for that awesome demo?
Yeah, that's true, yes.
I think there's so much that's obvious about Copilot, and what we're learning, accessibility has been around a long time, decades and decades. It became a mandatory compulsory compliance regulation here in the 1990s. Microsoft's been in it a long time. But it's never been something that I've seen drive this level of innovation. We've always known it's there. We've always seen the audiobook kind of examples. But I think AI is profoundly changing things. It's profoundly changing the entirety, I would say, of the accessibility industry, making features mainstream. For neurodiverse, the implications are profound. And we're learning that. We're learning that not just because of our own use. The Disability ERG was actually the first community to get pilot access to Copilot in M365, specifically because we believe that there could be this profound implication. But we're also hearing it in feedback from our customers. And it's the obvious in many ways. If you are dyslexic, one of the really challenging parts can be summarizing a document. And the amount of cognitive power it can take, which is additional to non-neurodiverse, neurotypical individuals, they're spending additional battery power every day to consume what anyone else would. Well, now Copilot does that for you. And it's also helping with memory, which is the other big one that we're really learning, and anxiety, and making sure that you have focus and that you add chunks of time. And what we are doing is actually putting some research behind this to quantify some of the impact. And we're publishing this in 2 weeks, but I'm allowed to give you a bit of a sneak peek. This is done by EY. I see Hiran in the front here. And they've been chatting with 16 companies to try and understand what is the implication for neurodiverse employees who are beginning to self-identify and say, this is me, in a very big way right now. And I'll just give you a sniff. So 91% of neurodiverse employees see Copilot as an assistive technology. That's very interesting. That doesn't make it an optional, that makes it a need. I can't work in a meeting without captioning. It's an assistive technology. It's a different pitch. It's 75% said Copilot allowed them to thrive at work. And 85% said having access to Copilot enabled them to feel more included in the workplace. So I think there's some that's very obvious, but I think we're going to learn a lot more I couldn't remember those numbers, sorry, my phone had to come up with me. But I think we're going to learn a lot more, and I'll be really fascinated what you learn as you roll Copilot out. But it's becoming an essential.
That is so powerful, the statistics, yeah. Tara, what are some?
Well, Jenny, I want to build on your dyslexia example. I've got a corporate vice president that I'm a peer with in the Microsoft 365 team. I've watched him work over the years, and he's got dyslexia. And one of the things that he talks about with Copilot that's been really helpful is this summarization. So he said what he used to do was he would scan the long documents for pictures and try and just get as much as he could out of the pictures in the document. And he said now with Copilot, what he does is he will use the summarization that comes back in Word, and he will also then use Copilot to ask questions of the document.
Perfect.
So rather than just reading the summary, he uses it more like a Q&A tool to go back and forth and ask his questions. So that's one personal example for me. And then a second one would be somebody on my team was telling me about her son and how he's been interviewing for jobs. And one of the things that she's been trying to work with him on is as he writes responses back to these companies, he starts every paragraph with the word I. And she said, it's just really hard not to do that. And so what she does is she help to show him in Copilot how Copilot can rewrite that paragraph without the use of I to start every single sentence. And she said it's just been amazing to help the writing capabilities for her son. And so it warms my heart. Sorry, it warms my heart to hear these stories because you know that it's just helping people to do things that they maybe weren't able to do as quickly or as productively in the past. And so it's just been awesome to see these stories. I remember early on too, Sachi got a very impassionate email from somebody that was just so thankful that they had discovered Copilot. And so, yeah, very, very moving.
Yes, we get a lot of those mails and a lot of those stories. I think that's, it's a very real thing. I launched a mandatory training on accessibility last week. Just last week. These guys have all had the mail, which, by the way, is terrifying to send a mail to 230,000 people saying, please take my mandatory training, don't hurt me. Because everyone who loves mandatory training.
Yeah.
But we did it because the Copilot features are so important to know, whether you're a person with a disability yet or not, or you just want to be a better ally. They're important to know as you create better meetings, products, and just being more inclusive as fellow peers. And that training, I cannot even tell you how many email responses with so many stories from neurodiverse employees sharing their use cases. It's truly, I think, going to be fascinating to see where we are a year from now.
That is awesome to hear. Right. As the technology advances, I'm sure we're going to see even more interesting use cases. So just at the beginning of the curve.
Yes.
Yes.
One more question for the group. This one is for the allies and advocates and managers. Would love to hear what are some key challenges and opportunities you would highlight as we strive to create a more inclusive environment for neurodiverse individuals and really for all abilities. Jenny, let's start with you.
I would actually start with training. I think it's really important, whether you're an employee, you're a manager, to learn about disability, accessibility, in particular neurodiversity. And I would make a special plea to managers. That training actually that I just mentioned that is mandatory for Microsoft employees is available for you. And we put it online, and we put two versions up. One is the 101. This is a 20-minute virtual training. Language, etiquette, how to communicate support, drive an inclusive meeting. And we've also put clearly way more advanced content up there. So I start with training, and I would also add the very non-tech but important thing of making sure that you are thinking about hiring neurodiverse talent and you're opening the door to neurodiverse talent. Our hiring program has run now for almost 10 years. It's a 4.5-day virtual Minecraft academy. That's how we hire neurodiverse talent. Clearly, anyone can apply and just say they're neurodiverse and get the same accommodations. But bring in talent. And then I would say, bring your expertise. Whatever company partner you are sitting in today, we need those ideas to create the next hand raise, to create the next prompt. Publish your prompts, share them, and talk about the journey and why they're so important to you. But yeah, some resources and also some maybe pleas for folks to help us on this innovation journey.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just add on, since I've been talking to so many customers here at Ignite and other, like the AI tour recently in Europe, and Teams is one of those hero magical experiences for so many folks when they first start using Copilot. So I would just say, maybe to add on to what you said, Teams meetings and helping to really think through how you structure your meetings, and are they inclusive, and are you using features like hand raise and using features like recording, because I hear that from other employees too, like Kayla was mentioning. The ability to just focus on the meeting and not have to worry about taking notes has been a game changer for a lot of folks that I have worked with as well. And so I think that's another thing you can think through is meetings, because it is such a common part of our day.
Yeah.
So.
And I would say the one set of features that I end up recommending, and our accommodations team ends up recommending, you knows the shortcut Windows key U? Anyone heard that? Add that. You're on my team. You don't have to. I would like you. Just take a note of this one. Windows key U brings up all of the accessibility features on Windows. Night light is one of the most important features that neurodiverse turn on. Sensitivity of color and brightness. Mine is on by default. Simple color contrast features can really be impactful and helpful, and there's plenty more in there. So spend some time. You may not think it's for you, but trust me, it's really, really helpful.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah.
I want to make just one where you'd mentioned prompts earlier. So my team, I see Gino sitting here in the audience. When Kayla was demoing the view prompts experience and she had that prompt nicely saved in her list of saved prompts.
Oh my goodness.
That's a feature that we build.
Nice.
So please share and save your prompts, because I'm sure you're going to find coworkers around you that would love to see how you're using the product. And save and share, that's one of the features we're working on. So
Love that feature.
That's awesome. Yeah, we should all start sharing our prompts, and I'm sure your training videos is going to start getting a lot more views.
I hope. Bring it on.
Well, on that note, I want to thank you both for being here and sharing your insights. This session really focused on the intersection between Copilot and neurodivergence, but certainly there are many more AI-powered accessibility scenarios. Check out this video.
AI has a massive opportunity to help people with disabilities like me.
I'm going to show you some of my favorite features that help improve my productivity on the daily basis.
And I'll just go into Copilot and say, summarize this email.
I'm able to really use my voice through the microphone and voice access that's built into Copilot. I say, tell me the changes in accessibility for the past month.
I'm going to launch Word.
Describe what you'd like to write, including notes or an outline, and Copilot can generate a draft to help you get started.
In this case, I'm going to ask it to write about the history of computer science.
History of computer science. Generate. Skip draft Copilot.
One of the things that is challenging when you have dyslexia is writing. So to help with that, I will ask Copilot to write a draft email. I'm going to ask it to still keep my tone because I want it to sound like me, and I want it to be short, asking Mary to do a pre-read of the document. And it's now generating a template email, which is short and sweet, which is a brilliant productivity enhancement for me.
When I think about generative AI, I think about things that I've done in my 20+ year career in accessibility that we've not been able to do before now. And some of these things are literally life-changing.
This process without Copilot usually takes an hour, but this took 3 minutes. It's important to give me the time back to work on the things that I love. And generative AI does that.
If you want to make AI more accessible and better for you, use it and provide feedback. I'm excited about the possibility that it will help bridge the disability divide.
To learn more, here are some key resources. Right, hand of applause.
Bring it on.
Bring it on. Here are some resources for you to learn more, whether it is to learn more about how you can make more use of Copilot, as well as deepen your understanding into neurodiversity and accessibility, and definitely Jenny's training, or to learn more about how to design or build products more inclusively. On that note, that's a wrap. Thank you, everybody, for attending today.
Thank you.